you mentioned Israel and the crackdown, and it really is, this is turbocharging a chilling of speech. But we have to talk about this week, the House passed a massive defense spending bill that now goes to the Senate. And it really is an insane goodie bag for Israel. And just today, the United Nations Human Rights Council report came out and said, yeah, it is a genocide. Nearly shy of 2 years on, it is a genocide. And the vast undercount that Gazan doctors have done. Excuse me, the I can't even remember. Basically, the vast undercount of dead is correct. But 64,000 people have been murdered, which is again a massive undercount. And every day it goes on and it gets worse. But I just want to get through some of the things that are here in this bill. $500 million for U.S.-Israel missile defense. So Iron Dome, David Sling, Arrow, all the other things. $35 million for emerging tech, AI, directed energy, and cybersecurity. $80 million to expand the joint U.S.-Israel anti-tunneling program. A new Defense Innovation Unit office in Israel, plus Defense Industrial Base Working Group to integrate U.S. and Israeli arms industries, extending the war reserve stockpile, allies keeping U.S. weapons pre-positioned for Israeli use. Remember, Israel already has this massive stockpile of weapons, of U.S. weapons. It doesn't even need to tap into new money that we give them. Also, all kinds of protections for them. So Lauren Boebert introduced an amendment into this Pentagon spending bill that basically protects Israel from, says that any contractor that engages in boycott, divestment, or sanctions could not get a DoD contract. Now, I know that it sounds a little like this is the DoD, these are weapons contractors, I'm sure they're all on board with killing because they care about the bottom line. But let's say, there is some sort of some contracting company that's working on food or medical assistance or something that says, we have strict guidelines about not, selling or working with a company or in a country that might be committing war crimes. They would not be able to get a contract. That would be considered BDS according to this, this new amendment. It didn't pass, but nearly passed an anti-BDS stipulation for any country. Basically, the DoD cannot work with any country that boycotts Israel under any circumstance. That didn't pass, but it was proposed by Josh Gottheimer, who is a Democrat.
Of course. Of course it was.
Because of course it was. So that is insane. So again, there's no ban on not working with the EU or UN because they have acknowledged, the UN just acknowledges the genocide. But they're going to probably keep trying to push that forward. And then, let's see, I want to just go into more specifically, again, banning contractors, boycotting Israel from tapping most federal contract dollars since more than half of the $755 billion the U.S. government spent on contracts last year flowed through the Defense Department. There was no discussion, by the way. It was just automatically approved. Interestingly, her counterpart, I was like, did Marjorie Greene vote for this? She did not. Nor did Thomas Massie, nor any of these, obviously many, many, many Democrats voted against it. But so all to say that the anti-BDS, the chilling of free speech is now in the DoD. We know Pete Hegseth is saying he's firing, anybody who, I guess this is related, but heralds the death of Charlie Kirk. It's who's doing that? And then separately, there is a rider, a labor HHS education rider, that conditions all federal funds on universities and makes them adopt the anti-Semitism code, which includes criticizing Israel, and punishes students, staff, or groups accused of anti-Semitism while using campus facilities. But here's the real, so that's all going forward. That's moving to the Senate. We will see what fucking happens. But separate to that, there is another bill that is being pushed by Representative Brian Mast that allows the Secretary of State to rescind passports. So we're here, people. It took us 9 months, but we did it. We got
This
it.
is insane, bro. This is insane.
This is allowing the Secretary of State to rescind the passports of or deny or rescind passports to people whom they determine have knowingly aided, assisted, abetted, or otherwise provided material support to an organization the Secretary has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. So UNRWA could be that organization, right? I mean, these are the same auspices under which Mahmoud Khalil and, I'm forgetting his name, Muhammad, what was his, basically people who've like volunteered, or if you've like donated to UNRWA, like, you know, which is helping Palestinians in the West Bank and in Gaza, you could have your fucking passport rescinded. This is the same reason that people have been detained. Basically, anyone who speaks out in a way that Lil Marco doesn't like, and he's been doing that, like I just mentioned, under the Alien Enemies Act already. But like Blakely, you and I'm assuming a passport holder, like,
yeah, that could include me. That could include me for sure. This is insane. Not really that surprising though, because, you know, a lot of us said at the time that they went after Mahmoud Khalil, that you said that people were like, oh, well, you know, free speech and criticism, that doesn't mean anything it only applies to Americans. And a lot of us said at the time, for now, you allow them to do it. You don't think they're going to move on to Americans next? Like, this is so absurd. It's so insane. First of all, not to be dramatic, but I feel like people like Brian Mast should be expelled from Congress. I'm so sorry. You're a traitor. You're fixing to wear fucking foreign uniforms on the House floor. Get out. Go back to fucking Israel. Not that I would want to put the Palestinians through having to deal with more of that, but you're insane. This is crazy. Okay. This is crazy. You should not be able, like, the fact that this was even allowed. Same with Lauren Bobo. Okay. Another thing, fraud patriots. I'm so tired of these fraud patriots. Today's 1776, I'm such a patriot. Meanwhile, she's like, how can I protect Israel? How can I protect Israel? You're going to get fired if you boycott. Like, it is so insane. I'm so tired of these people. But this also goes back to what you were saying earlier. That makes me crazy. We have no leaders. There are no leaders in the Democratic Party to push this out. And this actually goes also to my criticism and why I was so pissed off when that whole chorus thing happened. That chorus scandal happened. I felt like a lot of people were missing the point of why, to me, it was so problematic. And it's like, because we don't have any leaders. What have I seen all the people in that chorus cohort come out and do? Capitulate to the right wing. And oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Where are you? Where are the leaders of the Democratic Party? Where are all the influencers in the Democratic Party? Where the is Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer? These people are useless. And the reason why I know that the right wing are fascists and they are trying to erode our civil liberties as we speak, and they have been for years. But I will never allow the Democratic Party or the progressive movement or whatever you want to call it, left influencers, liberals, I'm never going to let these people off the hook, because the only reason why they are able to get away with moving us so fast to this fascist state, this police state, this state of having our rights taken away and getting censored and arresting people and ICE crackdowns is because we don't have an opposition party. We don't really have a real opposition party with real leaders. No, they're too busy throwing Zohran Mamdani under the bus and not endorsing him. I mean,
it's the Kamala Harris campaign all over again, right? It's the Kamala campaign that, yes, we, and I know where you stood as well, we objectively know is far better than what the fucking hell we're living under right now. But it also was kind of based on nothing. There was nothing there. There was no real message. There was no real policy. There was no real speaking to average people who, yes, cared about Gaza. There, in fact, was a concerted effort to block anyone who called in about it, texted back about it, said, I really want you to change course on this genocidal policy, and it's terrifying me. And so, again, the groundwork, I mean, when I say, like, if you've donated to UNRWA or, if you've donated to Palestinian causes or families who are trying to make their lives out of rubble right now, if you've donated on Chuffed, right? Like, all of these places could be fair game to target. It's because in the early days, you had the New York Times running with the Zionist like propaganda line about how UNRWA workers were working for Hamas. Right. You had uncritical reports, like the screams without words about the mass rape that happened on October 7th that did not happen. Like, these are the things that like erode the trust, and it happens with centrists, it happens with the media, and you're right, it happens when we don't ask hard questions of our elected officials and why they're not fighting. Why is it? And it is very fitting, because all you need to know, Josh Gottheimer's out here trying to get people, trying to make sure that we don't comply with international law. And this is the same dude that wanted to make sure and did that Joe Biden's Build Back Better plan was fucking tanked, which goes back to the same point. The progressives and actual leftists, actual progressives, the squad, even though I have my critiques of them, were actually the ones who were trying to get the Biden agenda passed. As awful as his last year was because of how crazed of a Zionist he is, it was the Gottheimers, it was the centrists, it was the AIPAC money takers who were undermining his agenda.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.